So, Tim, you've been here with us in studio, listening to the press conference, watching the markets. What is your takeaway? What's important for starters about what Janet Yellen just said?
The first thing and the most important thing is the real addition of emphasis on international economics. She really
totally agree.
Totally
agree.
You know, the Fed traditionally has not done that. They generally don't pay attention to the FX rates, to the dollar, to what other currencies are doing or what other economies are doing. And now this is a big shift. This is completely different than history.
Now, she also made some comments about China. Danny Blanchflower earlier in the week on Bloomberg Radio said that besides the labor market slack, when the second largest economy in the world is slowing, it's very difficult to know what kind of impact it is going to have on the rest of the world, including the United States.
That's right. And when you ask about what the Chinese effect will be on the U.S. economy, most of us really are focused on the import-export sector. And here in the statement, she's clearly talking about the financial impact or potential financial impact and overflow from slowing China.
Right. Right now, Michael McKee exits the press conference. He's been detoxed and straightened out after leaving. Mike, I was fascinated. I thought Applebaum of the New York Times with a great question, and your question was fascinating. And Michael McKee, you got Janet Yellen to talk about Rudy Dornbush of MIT with this idea of overshooting. Mike McKee, would you explain, with the facts we see of 2016 and 2017, why Chair Yellen's worried about inflation overshooting? I don't get it.
I don't get it either, Tom. It seemed to come down to the idea that perhaps the Fed's economic forecasts would be wrong. The argument is this, that if you wait longer, you're going to have to raise rates at a faster pace and a steeper rate if inflation starts to develop. But the Fed's own forecast is that even with the improvements in the labor market, and they took down the rate of the neutral rate of employment to 4.8%, even with that, we're not going to see inflation rise faster. They lowered their forecast for PCE inflation. So it isn't clear to me why they think that the Fed needs to get going this year, even under those conditions, unless, as she said, we could see the economy develop faster and the projections turn out to be wrong. So it is very possible, I think, that unless something changes in the economy between now and December, that you may see more members of the Open Market Committee slide into 2016.
Michael McKee and I get to have wonky questions with Tim Hopper because we've been working for 15 hours today. Tim, what I don't understand is the choice of inflation series. They use the PCE deflator and the vector self. Key sentence for me in the press conference was she talking about inflation softening. To me, was the right one. But is there another inflation series that better captures America's worry about future higher inflation?
In the long run, PCE is the right measure to use.
You're not going to use Cleveland Fed or Dallas Fed or the rest?
No, the Dallas Fed median inflation is a very good measure, but in the long run, we're going to go with PCE.
So, and Kathleen, I mean, you know the chart. It's still showing the softened inflation.
But this is the main point. Whatever measure you use, you still have to stick with the tried and true. And yes, and I think it's not just where we are now. And let's put that question to Tim. Tim, what about the sense that the global economy, it isn't so much the U.S., sure, we could get to our inflation target, but when the ECB just has cut its inflation target and has said there's a whiff of deflation in the air, and you see China slowing, it seems to me that is what the Fed has to be so concerned about.
Reading between the lines and going back to the press conference, what really sticks out to me is even though she didn't really come out and explicitly say it, there does seem to be concern about what happened in August, which started in China and then rolled across the rest of the world.